One Direction star Liam Payne has died. He was only 31 and he fell from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires. Our Ross and Lucy Cave are with me now. Ross, this is just, I mean, you know, I was genuinely shocked when I saw this. It's absolutely tragic, isn't it?
Oh, it's so tragic and so unbelievable. I'm here in Nashville. I was surrounded by other journalists when the news broke here, and everyone just stopped and just shock, disbelief. I've met Liam a couple of times. One was just after the success in the X Factor, and you just think of them then so young and so fresh with all that ahead of them, and now still so young and gone from us. At that hotel in Argentina, he'd been out with the fans, he'd been hugging them, and then here we are hours later. The fans are outside the hotel that he has gone. The candles, they're singing One Direction songs. This all happened around about 5 p.m. local time. Really, really sad. The police were called to the hotel. There were reports that a man was possibly under the influence and were concerned for his safety. And of course, we know that he leaves behind Bear, who's now just 7, the child that he had with Cheryl Tweedy. So sad.
It really is. I mean, I must admit, I can't stop thinking about that wee boy because his mum, Cheryl, is going to have to tell him. She's going to have to break the news to him. And, you know, he is, as you said, Ross, he's only 7 years old. He's only a...
Yeah.
And he was always talking about his son, wasn't he? He really... He was a very devoted dad. You know, he might not have been with him all the time, but, you know, he was a very devoted dad. We've seen lots of photographs of him with his son, and he talked about him all the time too. Lucy, he was in Argentina. He was, of course, there to support, because One Direction, still very close. They might not be together as a band, but they were still mates.
Yeah, so he was there because his former bandmate Niall was performing. He actually said to his fans, though, a couple of days earlier that he was there because he needed to touch base with Niall because they hadn't spoken for a little while. And then we saw a really nice picture of them together. So I know that he said there was no beef, but they just hadn't spoken for a while. They really wanted to reconnect. He was there with his girlfriend, Kate Cassidy. She actually left to go back to Miami a couple of days prior to that.
So he was on his own?
So he was on his own in Argentina. There were some Snapchat videos that came out of Liam featuring her, but I think they were recorded a couple of days before. So he was definitely on his own in that hotel room, or not with his girlfriend anyway. And it comes days after his ex-girlfriend, Maya Henry, said that she had issued him with a cease and desist letter. He had not responded to those claims, but obviously that's a bit of a dark backdrop that we're against.
I know, it really is. And Ross, as we know, Liam, you know, he did have struggles with fame. That sort of fame is crazy, isn't it? It's just, you know, we can't really comprehend what that's like. These guys toured the world, they were global, but they would get to a hotel room somewhere like maybe Japan or Australia, they couldn't get out the room. They had to draw the curtains because, you know, everybody wanted a photograph of them, everybody wanted a piece of them, and how you deal with that level of fame is, I don't know, I would find it, all of us would find it almost impossible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Lorraine. Almost impossible. And he was very open about his struggles. I've spoken to quite a few people that knew Liam. They said what a lovely guy he was, but they did say that he was very troubled. And again, as you say, you know, when fame hits some people, it's almost like that stunts their growth, and that's what age they stay. You know, 2014, there he was, solo on X Factor. They said he was too young and asked him to come back at some point. And also, Lorraine, I know at that time you had one of the very first interviews with him when you sat down with him.
And you're only 15, though, and you've dealt with all of this with huge maturity. You know, you really have.
The thing about me is I don't really get that nervous about like doing different things. And I just because I enjoy it so much. Really, that's the main thing. Because I enjoy singing so much, I don't seem to get nervous, and it's just
brilliant.
I love singing. It's just lovely singing that comes out on stage. You know.
And you've been singing from you were teeny tiny, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's just something. Is it something you've always wanted to do from a little kid?
Well, from what my dad tells me from the stories, like he says that I just one time just put in for a karaoke and went and sang on the karaoke when I was about 5 or 6.
Right.
And from then it's just stuck on, just going doing different karaoke's and that. And the thing is, I used to get really nervous about singing, but like I just had a thought one time, well, you enjoy it, so why not just, you know, go out there and enjoy every moment?
Oh, he was just adorable. I mean, he really was. It's just unbelievably heartbreaking that, and I remember talking to them later. They just, you know, they were always really good fun. And Lucy, you spoke to him. He was always, you know, when you talk to the band, he was always the one that kind of was if you like, the grown-up.
Yeah.
You know, he was like the Gary Barlow.
He was. He always seemed. He was really empathetic. You could tell that he could really read the room. So when the others, when they were young, they were always messing about. But he was always the one. If you interviewed the band, he'd be the one that would answer all the questions.
Of course.
And I think he sort of really held it together. You know, there's no denying the impact that their music has had on the music industry. They were pop messiahs. He's really led the way. He's going to leave a huge legacy. I mean, his impact was seismic, particularly for that generation, and it's their first sort of big loss of a music star.
Oh, it's horrendous. I mean, and he had so much to live for.
Yeah.
You know, obviously his son, for goodness sake, that's the most important, but he had a lot of plans.
There were lots of projects
lots
underway.
Of things happening.
Yeah, so there was a Netflix show, Building the Band, that he was going to be part of. So the promo had already been recorded. So this was with Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child, Nicole Scherzinger. People who worked on that show said he was absolutely lovely, really always stopping to talk to the crew. And I think that's what everybody is really remembering for, his kindness and his warmth. And even people were speculating that One Direction could have got back together because Zayn had come back in the public eye. He was talking to Niall. Harry had gone to see Niall. I mean, maybe the four of them will get together as a tribute.
Do you know, they might, in the same way that Girls Aloud did for Sarah, you know, they might do. I mean, Ross, that would be something, wouldn't it? That would be a very, very emotional sort of reunion.
Very much so. And I was just thinking there, you know, 2014 was the last time that I actually saw them. The boys were doing the concert at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. And again, you'd remember how huge they were in America and indeed all over the world. But I mean, absolutely huge in America. It was that time social media was just the perfect time. It was the perfect marriage for the band and for social media. And again, in the States here, people just still absolutely shocked and devastated.
No, they do. Thank you so much, Ross and Lucy, for being with us. Obviously, our thoughts are with his family, with his friends, and especially with his little boy. Just very, very sad. Taken away far too soon, only 31 years old. Right, we'll be back later on the show. There's lots more tributes pouring in, and if you've got anything you want to say, do get in touch with us, because I know that will have shocked so many of you.